Yo, what's happening, everybody? Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3 of the Lightsoutco pod. I am your host, Chris. I'm with my other host, Matt. And today we have a very special guest, our good friend, Brian. Say what's up to the people, Brian.
What's going on?
Yeah. So, Brian, as you some of you don't know, is one of our good friends. We actually met him from our former jobs over at Planet Fitness. So,
Don't hate.
Don't hate. Yeah, because we were the fun Planet Fitness for sure. But, yeah, we are excited to have Brian on. Definitely got to talk about some big stuff. He's been one of our friends for a really, really long time. And we've been meaning to get him on here. But I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody that tuned in the last couple of weeks. We've been breaking 100 views on the pod recently, which is huge.
Within 2 days.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah. So I just want to thank everybody's support so far and recently. We'll keep them coming every Monday, new episodes. And you guys know, lights out to the moon. So that's how we go. Other than that, let's kind of get in what we're talking about today. So Matt kind of got a little bit of it, and he'll go over it for the most part.
So a bunch of us, we were all at this restaurant local to us, and we started having this conversation about like therapy and stuff like that, and kind of, Brian, he'll be going back to school, so he kind of gave us a little bit of insight into his life and what he's doing. So mainly that's kind of what we're going to talk about, and kind of just piggyback off those topics,
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us what's up. What's been going on?
A lot. It's different. Definitely different. A lot's been going on, especially since like the last time I seen you. Like the restaurant was definitely cool catching up, but I feel like there's been like so much happening.
So quick too, I bet, right?
It's so weird because like when you have like a specific date, especially when it's like a certain like period away, it's like like this certain date. Like you're just like, all right, cool. It's in the back of your head, and then so, like the weeks just like fly by. So it happens before you know it. But yeah, so like after Planet, did like a little internship with the physical therapy aide, which is super cool because that's like definitely what I want to do in the future. And then like part-time behavioral technician, which has been really cool because it's definitely been giving me like an insight on not only like my behaviors, but on how to like cope and deal and strategically like place myself in a position to like help others and myself and again just situations when it reacts emotionally versus like logically.
Right.
So it's definitely been a cool transition from Planet, even though I miss so many like the memories of just like everything we did there.
We just fucked
Some
around,
of the
bro. We
stupidest
literally
things,
just fucked
bro.
around, man. If you're making minimum wage, well, I won't say I was, but I was at one point.
Right.
But like that's one of those things where we just try to have as much fun as possible, make the most of it. So that's how it was.
Yeah. So the thing I always tell people is I always have a story to tell from Planet. If it's from Worcester or Shrewsbury, like there's always something that like you would feel like you would seen it all, and you
never saw it all.
Something would happen like on a random Tuesday, and you're like, hey, like never seen it coming.
The best part is like coming into your shift and you're like, yo, you gotta check the camera real quick.
Yeah.
Look what happened.
Yeah.
Look what happened.
Yeah.
So many camera moments that oh man.
I think later on I started getting just so fed up with all like the constant like I saw it all and like I was sick of seeing it all. Like I was sick of seeing everything just I was the manager and I just had to deal with like a lot of on the side shit, but like I wanted to be like just chilling with them, like just having a good time, and that probably goes with shouldn't have took the job, but it was a good time all around.
$14.50 an hour,
23 an hour or whatever
$60K, whatever you were doing.
$50K, yeah.
With the bonuses, but
yeah. Chill. Let's not go into We're new jobs now, but shout out to Planet Fitness because like without Planet Fitness, none of us would be boys,
Right,
and you got to think about that. Like I think about even Anthony and Matt right here. Like I met them through Planet Fitness too, and we've been best friends for like going on 4 years, 4 years.
4
like
years.
2018, pretty much 2019 is when we met. So
December.
it's pretty fucking crazy. So it just makes you think a simple conversation can lead you to a lot of places, can lead you to big things, and ultimately like friendships for life. So just going in back to what Brian was talking about, he's going through some changes, stuff like that. He's actually going back to school, right?
Yeah.
Going back to school in the fall.
Going out to Westfield State University,
Yes,
which
sir.
is definitely cool.
What are you going for?
Exercise science. So yeah, it's
pretty
definitely
much along the lines with what you
you're
were
trying to
doing.
do,
Right.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely cool, and it's so it's what I did at the first school I went to, which was Pine Manor College. That's like the school that was out in the middle of Boston, super small.
Wow.
But the weirdest thing is, it was on the land that Tom Brady's house was when he lived in Brookline.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
So like my school's soccer field and like west side of campus had the fence that was our campus and Tom Brady's house.
That's pretty
so
sick.
walking to class, you would hear Tom Brady's 2 kids like playing in the yard and all that.
Wow.
And
Sick.
while we would like go to practice, we would like see like Giselle like drive by and all that. You'd see like the gates open
just
up,
stare
and it
at
was
that
literally
car,
just
man.
like a mile long driveway.
Right.
You couldn't even like see the house. It
Yeah.
was the coolest thing. And on our spring break, when we were like all away and all that, some of the soccer team stayed because it was just like whatever, like they ended up staying on campus. Tom Brady actually landed as a private helicopter on our soccer field and like did like a bunch of damage to it and had whatever. So that was like we like came back and there was this big like landing spot from a helicopter and you could just like who else has a helicopter like right there. So
That's all real, bro.
but yeah, that school was the like one of the wildest places I've ever seen. Like I've seen it's equivalent to the Planet Fitnesses of school. Like it was so small, but the range of people you had, it was half like American, half international from South Korea, Vietnam, and one other school. So you would have kids who didn't like speak any English, but were still integrated in like classes you were in,
Yeah.
and would have like specific translators. And it was so cool because like the kids were so nice and like they wanted to learn so many things. So like some of our neighbors were like foreign exchange students, and they would just like we would just like hang out and they'd show us pictures of like their culture and like everything they had, like their alcohol, like the drinks they made. Like it was just
That's
the
pretty
wildest
awesome.
environment.
It's like Worcester
Bro-
Academy,
yo,
it seems like.
Brookline and like Brookline was close to Newton, and that was near Mount Ida. Those are 2 small schools, Pine Manor and Mount Ida. And I remember hearing stories about Pine Manor, exactly what you're talking about. Like literally seeing like Tom Brady's house and shit. Like that's so sick. I couldn't imagine that shit.
Well, the thing that was like the wildest part of it was so like it was closing down. The end of my freshman year, we got word that it was closing down, and they gave an option. Any second year, like a sophomore over, could finish up their degree and finish. If you're a freshman, this was after I applied to Assumption, but if you were a freshman, you could go to any school that was affiliated to Boston College because that's who bought them out. So I could have gone to like Texas State University, could have gone to BC, could have gone to all the schools that were like affiliated with Boston College for like the same price. And I found that out like after I applied and all that, which it was just already a little too late. But it was definitely an experience I'm happy I had, but I'm happy I'm away from. And then with Assumption, I know you went to Assumption, so you can speak on that. And now it's tough because I was a commuter, as well as my second semester ended up, unfortunately, getting shut down due to COVID, which every other student had to deal with it around the similar time, which, again, it just is unfortunate. No one was ready for it. Like, the teachers weren't, the students weren't. It's just, like, it was impossible for them to do it right. So I don't want to, like, put that on them. But what I feel like was in their control, they weren't necessarily on the right. Yeah, they just didn't handle it in a way I thought was good, but obviously they're a university now, so they make their money. In my opinion, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I'm super excited to finish up at Westfield. It's definitely something that like it feels like a big weight off my chest, just because like it's always something that like as a kid you grow up and I don't know if it's just something like you're told or like not like a dream you have, but like finishing up college, like doing the degree you want, just like the experience you have of like that school is just something that like I'm really excited to finish up.
Absolutely. And I think you bring up a good point with that is like you're told like as a kid like how things are supposed to go, you're supposed to finish by a certain age, all that shit, but I think a lot of us have some different timelines for sure. Like I mean, I'm 24 and I still haven't finished school. I know Matt, he's 26 and he like
I did my 4 years,
did
banged
your
it
4
out.
years, got out of there, like you
I
did it
was
by the
like-
book,
yeah, I was
and
like-
you got a job in your field that you wanted to, so
Eventually,
Like,
took a little
right,
bit,
right.
took a few years,
Right,
but
but-
we'll blame out COVID on that as well.
Exactly.
So
But that's what I think is a big part of is like you see on social media is like people have like these expectations that they're going to get somewhere by like 21, 22 years old because they see it, someone on social media doing it. And that goes with last week what we talked about with influencers. They only show what they want to see. And I guess that just makes me think like everybody has a specific timeline. You should always like trust your own vision before, you know, trying to like look and see what someone else is doing. And I think that goes with you, like took a lot of steps to just go back to school. Like
right,
that-
especially after having how long, like a year off?
Yeah, you
Or-
had
No, like
2
it was
years.
about
Yeah,
literally,
yeah.
like 2 years, which it feels
That's
like it
tough.
goes by so fast, especially again like with COVID, but
And you kept busy like with work. It's not like you were just chilling, you know.
And
but
it's just crazy how fast, like I said, like when you have a specific date, how fast things move. But even if not, like when you're just like, oh, like I'll get back to it, like before you know it, first semester ends and second semester ends and then third semester, and everything just kind of starts piling up. And it's so once you get on a track where you lose like the concept of time or the goal you're trying to reach, it feels like it's impossible to like reclimb that mountain.
Bro, that's like number one right there. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful saying and like beautiful way of thinking. Because like once you forget, bro, you'll never climb again, man. Like my dad tells me that all the time too. And like I'm sure you've had experiences with that, but I love that saying, man. Like I love that saying.
It is, well, and like that's just the biggest thing is like understanding that like, and it kind of ties in because it's so hard, at least for me, and like I don't want to speak for others, but like for myself, like losing confidence doesn't just mean like losing confidence in yourself. It like losing confidence in a situation is just as bad, and I feel like just as deadly as like losing confidence in yourself, no matter like what you apply it to. So for me, like I lost confidence in like my ability to like regain control of like my future, where I feel like I can only control my present. So I would live like day to day. I do things that would try and make me happy on like a very small scale. Like, oh, what do I want to do today? What's gonna make me happy now? And it's great because like that's what got me through like a very hard time, and that's obviously good. And you do what you can. But there's always going to be times like you have to grow, and I feel like that's when like that confidence comes. Like it's really hard to make a decision for later. It's really, really hard to take a step back from now to know you're taking 2 steps in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it kind of ties in because recently I feel like I've been taking a couple steps back, and it's been hard to see the goal of taking those steps forward in the future. And like my brother, my parents, and I have a really good support system. So I'm very lucky, and I try my best to understand that. But again, those dark times always come. Like they always creep up, no matter like who you have, what you're doing, or even like where you're at financially, anything, wherever you are mindset wise. And for me, it was just tough to see those steps, like the future steps I was taking. So I was talking to these guys at the restaurant, and I really wanted to get into therapy because it was something I always talked about, and it was something that I always thought was super beneficial, and I talked about, and I believe that everybody should do it. And I never wanted to like tell myself I was above it, or never tell myself that I didn't need it, because like I didn't want that like stigma around it, because it's never wrong, it's never bad. Like feelings aren't hard to talk about, you know?
Right.
But it's always one of those things where when do you bring it up? And that was my thing. Is like
Who do you bring it up
exactly?
to? It's
Like
that's
I'd love to
another
talk to
thing.
my parents, but my dad just came home from work. I just came home from work. My mom came home from work. Like my brother, and that's the thing. It's just like, oh hey guys, like I want to do therapy, and I know that they'd be fine with it. But like, when does that conversation come up? Like when do I start that? And then it just builds that anxiety. So
it almost feels like you're laying down such like a additional burden. It's like you said, they just came home from like a work day, and it's like they want to kind of chill. It's like, do I really drop this bomb on them right now? Like most people would think, saying I want to go to therapy, like that's a big thing, like that's a serious conversation, and it's not something where you're just like, all right, cool. But like it has to be like an in-depth conversation, So.
Well, and that's the thing, and it's for me it was always hard because I never necessarily knew like, oh, I can get it through insurance, and I wasn't in school, so I couldn't get it through school. But I wasn't really sure who to reach out to. Like I didn't know if I called my insurance, I didn't know if I called different. So I was nervous, and I was scared to take that first step. Like I lost the confidence in myself to take that first step to do it. So I just told myself I can't do it without it, and I started to believe it. Like I just continued to tell myself like, I'm scared to do it. Like I don't know the first step. Like I know all these people who have done it, and like I've made it this far without it. Like, you know what? Like just like put your head down and like go through it. And it's such just a bad way of going through life and going through like the times where like help is better. Like it sounds so stupid, but like you don't necessarily need like friends or family. Like sometimes you just need that like empty space to talk to. Like sometimes you need that like perspective of somebody who's professionally trained and like has that experience to like actually let you know like, hey, like again, whatever you need, but here's my opinion, here's my advice, here's what I think could help. Try it out, don't try it out. But so
it's that clean slate, because with your friends it's always going to come that, and even with your family as well, there's always going to come with that bias, like I want to say the right things to not hurt your feelings, but like when you're with someone like just a therapist, when you start going to therapy, it's that clean slate. They know nothing about you. Obviously, they're trying to protect your feelings, but they're going to tell you how it is. Like, so I think
definitely it's definitely something that I think is like needed because unbiased, biased, however, it seems like there's always going to be some type of like skewed opinion when you talk to friends or family. They're always going to want to tell you something that they think you want to hear, or they try and like dance around a subject that they're not quite comfortable talking to you about, which is, it's fair. Like sometimes, not that it's not their burden, but again, they're not professionally, they this isn't what they do for a job. Like they can only try their best, and like that's not their fault, that's not your fault, but that's where it comes into play. So recently I actually applied for some website, I won't out their name or anything, but I went out, I applied for it, paid X amount, whatever, and got matched with a therapist. I ended up scheduling an appointment, over the phone appointment, and it was last week on a Wednesday. So all excited, came home from work, made some food, and got on the phone, and it was for, I believe, 7. So I'm on the phone around 6:55, and that's kind of when like you start thinking, like, all right, what do I want to talk about? Like, where do I start? And that's the biggest thing, is like, where do I start? Where do I take that first step? And for me, there was, again, so many changes in my life. I really wanted to focus on that, and I really wanted to focus on taking those changes and making the best out of what was happening, and really just appreciating what I've accomplished, what I can accomplish, and what I want to accomplish. So fast forward, Wednesday, 7 o'clock, sweet, answers, hi, my name is so-and-so, tell me a little bit about yourself. Hey, I'm Brian, here's a little bit about myself. And I started kind of getting in depth about, again, more of the stuff I wanted to get into with everything going on. And, you know, she started asking a couple more questions. She wanted to ask, like, what my goals were getting through therapy. And it is a funny story, and there's, like, light at the end of the tunnel through the story. Unfortunately, it's not the best, but so get there, we're talking about it, and she goes, okay, so tell me, like, what do you want to get at the end of therapy? And
Give your whole spiel, right?
yeah, I tell her everything I want to do, and
Pour
like
your
long
damn
story,
heart out.
long story short, I was just like, you know what, I really want to start appreciating like the little things. Like I want to look up at like a starry night sky or like the moon today, full moon, and just like really appreciate it for what it is, rather than just like seeing a moon. Like I want to appreciate things more, like the small things in life. Like I want to be able to read a book and sit down and appreciate that free time I have. And unfortunately, she just goes, I don't know how that ties into what I asked. And at that point, I kind of knew that it wasn't going to be the session I thought it was. And maybe it was just like my first time, so maybe I was messing up the story a little bit, or maybe I wasn't making too much sense over the phone. So I tried to change the subject real quick. And then we just kind of moved on to something else. And I was telling her about how, like, there's certain, like, other things, too, like, with, like, my brothers and my family and everything. Like, I tend to make everything a competition. Like, usually, like, it could be some silly, like, mini golf. It could be, like, who finishes their food faster. Like it just, with my family, like, we've always made things a competition. So
You got the basketball court in your backyard.
Yeah.
Put the rim on, like, 6 feet. Have the gnarliest, like, one-on-one dunk session.
Oh, it would just, exactly. Things just got so heated over such small little things. And I told her, I was like, hey, like, I'd like to, you know, take a step back and, like, not make everything a competition and just, like, enjoy things for what they are, rather than just, like, getting in my own head and, like, getting upset over, like, small things that, like, I can control over. She just goes, well, hey, you know what? I guess your problems aren't too bad. You could be, like, a serious gambler, or, like, she said something else that was quite dark, and I don't really want to repeat it, but I was just like, yeah, I guess, but apples to oranges, I don't really know what to say to that.
It's like you got her off the Tinder of therapists.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
you just match with
no.
this
I feel
random-
like this is because has been to my experience too. Is like some therapists, like they've seen everything. So like when they see someone that like just needs someone to talk to, in retrospect, they're like, oh, fuck this shit. Yeah, like they're like, I want to deal with some heavy shit. It's like, what the fuck?
My intrusive thoughts told me to kill my mom in her sleep. Like
it shouldn't be like that at all. Like, come on. So I totally think that it might have been like one of the only, like, it takes a little bit to find the therapist that works for you, but bro, like,
that's the thing. I
like,
don't want the story to make it seem like, hey, therapy's not worth it. There's always gonna be like bad apple's not gonna ruin the bunch. But for me, at least, it was nice to laugh at. It was nice to, because how I took it is, I understand I don't necessarily think the feedback I got was beneficial, but like opening up and being vulnerable in a space where I'm not necessarily used to, it helped me mentally tons. Like it just it like kind of clears this like stigma, this like mental like fog that you have of like like me personally, like whenever I have like problems and I don't really feel like talking to them, I have this like huge mental debate. Like always in my head, like I talk about the future, the past, pros, cons, negatives. But like I think about all these things just all in my head in split seconds, and just all these intrusive thoughts come and go and come and go, and like really being able to like speak them into like the world and really like put connections and like combinations of like how I feel and why I think X is Y and Z, and like really see like where my mental is. It just helped exponentially. Like it was just,
Absolutely.
and that's the thing, like having that from a bad experience, I can only imagine like what a good experience can only lead to, you know?
I was gonna say, like, knowing you for, I think it's been like a year or so now.
Oh, it's got to be over that.
Yeah.
Nah, it's definitely more than a year, bro.
Really?
Yeah.
'Cause-
Last August is when I started back at PF, so it was.
Yeah, like I started in like April.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
So it's been like a year and a half.
2021?
Yes. 2021. We're in.
Yeah,
Yes, we're in
2021.
2022 right now. Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a year.
Yeah.
Year and a half.
Yeah,
Yeah,
year and a
change.
half. Yeah, not
All right.
Yeah, you said 1 year.
Okay, man. I'm sorry.
Well, man, take it
It's
easy.
been longer than that, bro.
Well, man, just take it easy. But no, just knowing like how Brian is, like, you know how you said you're very competitive and stuff like that, and I think when you see how certain people kind of deal with that internal struggle, like some people just kind of let it chew them up and they just kind of ball up, whereas like you're very thorough with it. You're very, I think, like, and it goes with your competitive nature. I believe it's like you have such a view on yourself where it's like if you're not like a certain way, you're like, all right, well, what do I got to do to be that way? It's like it's almost like you're in competition with yourself. So, but
That's a good thing. That's a healthy competition within yourself is probably like the best competition you
because
can
I
have.
think it's just that that awareness, that mindfulness. Like, all right, I know, you know, I'm going through all these things, like you said, past, future, present, going through all these things, and then circling back to them. How am I going to go about solving this?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head right there. Yeah.
My biggest thing too with like a lot of how my views not only have changed, but I feel like have like just, I don't know, differed from like growing up, and I feel like just like maturing through the years, which I'm hopefully still not done doing. But the biggest thing is just like there's all, I don't know, at least how I feel is in life, there's always going to be situations, and I feel like all we can control is our reactions. We very rarely do actions. We almost always do reactions. We react to a subject. We react to a comment. We react to whatever life throws at us. And I think with that, almost everything you can say, do, feel is, I don't want to say set in stone, but everything you, again, say, do, feel, anything can have a negative, can have a positive. Any saying, just anything out there, you can always put a positive spin on. And I was having this conversation with my brother and his girlfriend the other day, and she was saying that she thinks, like, no matter what, but just positive energy will always reciprocate positive energy. Like, you're on the highway, somebody cuts you off, at least me, like, oh, fuck you, like, flip them off, like, all this, like, I get mad, like, I hate that person, whatever. She goes, yeah, I just smile and wave at them. Because at the end of the day, they're either going to get mad at me and it's not going to ruin my energy, or it's just going to make them happy and it just puts more positive energy out into the world. And it's just wild because, like, something so stupid like a car passing you on the highway can do, again, you react to it. Like, they cut you off, what's your reaction?
I get pissed off. I'm feeling
Exactly.
like,
Like,
ashamed
it
right
just
now.
it just changes like so much of how I see it. Like, you get into like an argument or like, again, anything, like a waiter messes up your food, a friend's late to like hanging out, you're like playing a game with like friends or just like people you meet and all that. Like, your reaction and the energy you put out will always be reciprocated. And I think that's definitely been like a huge thing for me, at least, where like understanding that and understanding how to use your energy, feelings, and like emotion is so huge. Like, it's just like your energy. Like what are you going to use your energy on? Like, going to the gym, playing the sport you like doing things you genuinely enjoy, or just like kind of sitting at home. Like, now I don't want to say feeling sorry for yourself because that's always just a touchy subject, but doing positive things that genuinely impact your life in a positive way versus doing things in a way that you're not necessarily putting a positive spin on. And I think it's such just like a huge difference And I feel like it always comes down to like yourself. It always comes down to your choice. Because you can say you're a positive person.
Absolutely.
You can like put a jolly smile on. You can go to work and smile. But like your inner thoughts and your inner energy will always be your inner energy. Like you can't fake that. You know what I mean? Like
you cannot fake that
like
shit.
at Planet, like there were situations where like it got the best of me. You always got to put on that fake customer service smile. Like, hey, welcome to Planet Fitness. Like you always had to, but you couldn't fake your energy. Like there were times where I'd get mad at members would get mad at me, and just couldn't control it. And like I would waste my energy on these people that had such little effect on me that like looking back, it's just you can laugh at it. Like so yeah, just stuff like that. It's so wild how quickly it changes, and how like reflecting on certain moments that might not mean a lot can affect your future way more.
Yeah, that's such a
Comes down to mindset.
yeah. I was just gonna say it's a very mature mindset. I mean, to have that self-realization, like to understand that that's how it's supposed to work. You know, you either can react to it this way, or you can bitch about it. It all depends. Like that's gonna set your tone. That's gonna set your mood. And to know that, I think you're 22, right?
Yeah.
That 22 is a very young age.
Yeah.
You know, you're still developing mentally, stuff like that. So to have that insight at an early age, like you're above these,
Many others. Many others.
other people just stuck in that same kind of, in that revolving door, you know, where they let their reactions get the better of them.
You can kind of look at like I'm not gonna like say you're 20 at
26.
20 yeah at 24 maybe you were feeling like reactions were getting the best of you, and you're seeing a 22-year-old. So obviously like to me like I get reactions like like they get the best of me all the time. So like I'm seeing that from your perspective. I'm like, damn, like it really depends on what situation it is, but like a lot of times I should just let shit go. Right. Like it makes you feel so much better, and like you said, positive energy just comes off you. Like my favorite quote is match my frequency or don't disturb it, and like it's all about matching that frequency with like everything else, man. No. Yeah.
Honestly, well, on just like sayings, one of my favorite sayings, I forget who said it. It's famous philosopher, obviously, like a famous thinker. He goes, if I'm walking down the street with three men, one of them are bound to be smart enough to be my teacher. And the reason it's so profound and the reason people like enjoy it so much is because somebody who's like thought to be such a famous thinker, like held to this pedestal of being such a intellectual person, three people down the street, one of them is bound to be your teacher. It doesn't matter the lesson. It matters the lesson you take from it. So there's always going to be something somebody can teach me. Like, I'm not perfect. I don't do things perfect. I'm not even close. Like, the saying, like, practice makes perfect. No, practice makes improvement, but nobody's perfect. Like, that's the thing. Like, you can always learn an emotion, a feeling, a reaction, a saying. It big or small, like, learning something for the better does so much for, like, your conscience, does so much for, like your entire, perfect way of putting it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. The well-being of yourself, your mental, physical, everything.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what it comes down to.
Right.
Brian, like, bro,
That was
speaking facts. I like that. Yeah.
That was very deep.
Yeah.
We appreciate
Just opening up.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to open up even, like, for your friends. So, like, even opening up on the pod, like,
Right.
appreciate it. Like,
Right.
Oh, of course. Well, that's the thing. Like, I always, like, again, growing up, like, you always just, like, had that, like, such a, like, a scared, like, talking about, and I don't want to say negative feelings because, like, they're not negative, but talking about those, like, dark, sad, depressive feelings that are normal. Every single person gets them. Like, it's, I think the biggest factor for me is, like, I look up to my brother as somebody who, like, I put on such a high pedestal, like, growing up, like, always. And, like, the biggest thing for me is, like, I would see him go through, like, all these things and, like, see him, like, go through, like, breakups or, like, school or, like, failing a class in college. And, like, he always did stuff before me. And, like, I was always lucky enough to, like, we went to the same elementary school, same middle school, same high school. And now he went to actually Westfield State University. So I'm going to the same college.
Let's go.
But
You guys are rooming together, right?
No, he graduated in 2020. Yeah, he graduated in 2020. So, yeah, he's done. He has a big boy job now and all that. But like, even growing up, like, he was captain of the baseball team his junior year when I was a freshman. And then my senior year, I was captain of the baseball team, like, following his footsteps. Like, I always had him to, like, look up to. And I always had him. And, like, growing up, like not, like, thinking he's, like, a Superman or, like, thinking whatever. But, like, you always, like, put these, like, weird connections on people who you view so highly, like mom, dad, like whoever you put to that pedestal. Like, you always should have somebody that you think that highly of because you want to see them and you want to reflect yourself in that persona. Like,
For me, that's my mom. I don't know about like if you have one, but
I mean,
Patty,
my
I look up to.
my dad for sure, but also my mom is just two different like qualities. Like, for some things my mom, but for other things my dad. It's just like I think I got my work ethic from both, and like I try to like exceed that. Like I want to exceed, like as much as they work hard, I want to like exceed that work ethic so I can make sure that they live comfortably their last like 10, 15 years, you know what I'm saying? So like that's my biggest goal in life pretty much, is just making sure that happens. But that's because, like Brian said, you hold them to such a pedestal, so you obviously like look up to them and you want to exceed them, and like you want to do something for them. Like you want to like make them feel the happiness that they put into you, you know what I'm saying?
That's the thing. Like, and I don't know about you guys, but I feel like there's always been like moments where, like, at least for me, like I put myself in like their shoes, and I'm just like how'd you do it?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like for me, so like
I'd crumble. I'd be like, fuck.
there was this one moment during COVID. This was 2021, like I believe it was in it might have been December 2020 or like December 2021 actually. And he was working from home. I was working at Planet, and I like lost all confidence in myself and like my abilities to do what I'm typically confident in. Like I stopped going to the gym. My relationships with like my friends and all that were like plummeting. It was just like a lot going downhill. And so I went in his room and I was just talking to him, and like I just told him like I told him like how I felt, and I told him like the pedestal I put him on. And we had like this like big fight during COVID because it was like being like locked in and just having like all these things happen. He was going through a lot and I was going through a lot. We had this like weirdly big fight, and like for a little bit we weren't good, and like it crushed me. Like it was tough because he was like that person I always like looked to like that. And we made amends, and like we talked about it, and like it really really helped me. And like during this time, like I walked in, I told him, and like as a kid, like you always have this dream, like NBA player, NFL, like whatever your dream job is, and you always like have that audience, and you always like, for me, the question that I like, if you like listen to a song you like, or you're at the gym, whatever, like you run through these crazy like dream scenarios, and the one for me was always like, hey, like who do you give thanks to? Like, who helped you get here? And I told him, like, hey, like, from the bottom of my heart, my answer has never changed. Like, it's always been you. You know what I mean? So, like, and, like, it was hard. Like, it was a very emotional conversation. There was obviously a lot more to it. But just, like, telling him that and, like, expressing an emotion that it was so hard. Like, the words just weren't coming out. Like, I couldn't find, like, the simplest words. Like, I'm choking on myself. Like, I'm, like, holding back tears. Like, it was so tough. But after, and, like, the feeling of, like, bliss I got from, like, that expression was just like it was unmatched. Like it was something that like my body needed. And like after feeling that and like understanding like, hey, like this really is something. Like you're not just talking about it to like get over something. You're not just talking about this to like make yourself feel better so you can go back to work. Like no, like it's like deeper than that. And like after that, like it's just like something that like it gave me just such a new like respect for people who can do things that are at least outside of my comfort zone. So, like, when I see certain people do, like, certain things, like, you taking the manager role and you just going through, like, certain things, like, you finishing school in 4 years, you finding that job, like, you, like, not giving up, especially with when it comes to, like, men's mental health and everything, like, your passion, the way you just, like, the way you go about it, like, I have, I don't know necessarily the right word, because, like, you don't want to say, like, envy, because it's not, but it's
like props almost.
Exactly.
Like you
give
give them
admiration. And that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just... I want to be a person who can admire and can congratulate and can be even if it's like a small bright spot in like friends and people who like I care about its life, because like people do hard things. Like you do hard things, which is like so crazy because you take them for granted. Like when you do certain things, especially when you do them for repetition, like at least for me, like you usually go to the gym 4 times a week. You went 2 times a week this week. Most people don't go to the gym at all.
Right.
And that's the thing. If you don't go to the gym, you work 50 hours a week. Like, it's so easy to look at the things you don't do because you're not doing them, because you can hold yourself accountable. But the things you do, it's so easy to let those things slip away. So, like, and again, anybody who can take it and can understand and, like, can, like, have compassion or empathy with, like, that feeling, like, I think it's just so important for, like, others to, like, help and, like, for others to, like, make it normalized. Like there's no point in not talking about how you overcame certain things, or like your perspective or your views, or like what's helped you. And obviously, it's easy to shut down. Like, it's easy to not talk about things because it's hard. And doing hard things is hard. And it's so stupid, but it's so true. Like, if you're not ready to talk about it, that's fine. But if you continuously tell yourself you're not ready, you're never going to do it. Like, it's all about stepping out of that comfort zone. And I think the biggest thing, like, friends, family, or anybody can do is to just appreciate people for what they do and not what they don't, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's a great message. Like
I feel like if you and I look lost, like, well, not lost, but like people are gonna see us and they're just gonna be like us, like looking at, like
we're just like
we're zoned in.
We
like,
just love.
It's really.
We love
hitting,
talking
like,
about this shit, and this is why we have this podcast, because like we love self-help, we love self-improvement, we love following your dreams, following your passions, and Brian is one of those people who follows their dreams, follows their passions, and has had some rough patches along the way, and he still has gotten to the point. He's continuing to go to the top. So, dude, thank you for coming on. It wouldn't be a podcast without Idiots in the News. So, Idiots in the News, run the jingle.
Hey,
turn it
pal,
up.
you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Idiot! An idiot sandwich.
Or is at this point.
Figure out what's
Talk about Tom Brady.
Yeah, it's preseason.
Yeah.
Brady got name dropped. All right, so
Yeah, I'm excited for this one. Tell me what's going on.
this is actually something that resurfaced, I guess, on TikTok. But this happened back in 2019 in China. So we're going overseas.
Cross the pond.
Yes. So
Across the pond. I like that.
back in 2019, there was a wedding that was going on. And the groom, with his knowledge that he had before he's the one who put all this into play, the groom played a video of his wife cheating on him with her sister's husband at the time. So the girl that she cheated, the husband, right, of her sister was pregnant at the time as well. So my man is double dipping right now. So yeah, they're walking down after the, I think they got married. So they got married, but then this is the afterwards. So the after party, everyone's there, like they're walking down, and as they're walking down with all their friends and family there, the projector comes down, and that's where the video starts playing. Like, so she just got.
That's embarrassing.
Could you imagine?
Sex?
Yes.
Oh,
It was like a lengthy video too. Like,
not the Kim K video.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I would be in the audience, like, looking at everybody else's reaction.
imagine being the sister.
See this shit?
That's true.
Because, like, not only do you have to, like, emotionally understand what's happening, but you have to, like, see
Right,
that. Like, you have to see
And
the
also
video.
gotta have to deal with like the emotions
That's
afterwards.
what I'm saying.
Like,
There's too much.
Yeah,
There's
that's too much going on.
That's
man.
crazy.
That resurfaced from what, 2019? You said?
2019. So it's been popping on TikTok. So I mean,
That's.
Not sure what happened of it, but yeah.
I wonder how the divorce is done.
right. I mean, props to the guy. I mean,
Hey, he used his platform.
He went through
used
the
it.
whole thing. He went through the whole event. Like, he was like, oh,
Big smile.
he was like, you do, huh? In your head.
The vows, he's just like, for real?
Yeah. So yeah, keep talking. Yeah, keep digging your hole. Keep digging your hole. And then, bro, to be slammed with that.
That's terrible. That's terrible. Damn.
But
That's a good Idiots in the News this week, man. I like that.
We'll definitely link that as well.
Yeah, we'll
You
link
can
that
check
in
it
the
out.
description for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much gonna do it for this episode of Lightsoutco Pod. This has been one of my favorite episodes so far. Just with the fact that very deep, very profound, and honestly, Brian's a guest we were trying to get on for a long time. So happy you made it on. My question this week, I got like a kind of an eager question. What's going to happen to the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics? Is anything going to happen with that? Leave your comments in the comments below. Yes, sir. But other than that, that's going to do it for the pod. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week. Remember to leave a like, comment, rate us on Spotify. And Brian, you want to sign off, man?
I just appreciate you guys having me. We'll see you guys next time.
Yes, sir.